Juz 8, new Juz, still in Suratul-An though. And we are starting from ayat 111. And the author says, starting with the word of God Almighty, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولو أننا نزلنا إليهم الملائكة وكلمهم الموتى وحشرنا عليهم كل شيء قبلا ما كانوا ليؤمنوا إلا أن يشاء الله ولكن أكثرهم يجهلون ولو أننا نزلنا إليهم الملائكة. Now this verse, its meaning is continuing from the previous ayat. If you remember, Allah Ta'ala was informing the believers before this verse that had the kuffar gotten the signs that they requested, they still would not have believed, because they were requesting miracles from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, despite that he had already performed miracles, but they wanted him to do something of their choosing. And that if he were to do that, they swear to God with their utmost swears that they will believe. And Allah revealed to the believers who were hoping that those signs would happen so that those people would believe, because the Muslims really want the best for the people. The Muslims don't want the people to be disbelieving in their Lord and disobedient to their Lord and going to hell forever. The Muslims don't want that. They were hoping that those people would believe, but Allah revealed to the believers that if they were to get the signs that they request, they still would not believe. And you don't know, believers, but Allah knows, and He tells you. And this ayah is continuing with this meaning. وَلَوْ أَنَّنَا نَزَّلْنَا إِلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةَ. And had it been that we brought down upon them the angels, since they said, had only an angel come along with him, had only an angel verified him, had only Allah sent angels to us. وَكَلَّمَهُمُ الْمَوْتَى. And had it been that the dead spoke to them, since they said, bring our fathers back to life. وَحَشَرْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ قُبُلًا. And had we assembled upon them everything قُبُلًا, meaning had Allah, meaning had Allah gathered upon them or before them everything, guaranteeing the validity and truthfulness of the glad tidings and the warnings, they still would never believe unless Allah willed. Al-Tabari says that when it is recited with two dhammas, qubula, this has three ways of explanation. Had we assembled before them everything as a guarantor, or had we assembled everything before them, had we brought forth everything, collected everything, had we made everything one conglomerate, had we brought everything together and then made them see it in front of them, they still would not believe unless Allah willed. Or had we brought to them every kind of thing, one by one, ما كانوا ليؤمنوا إلا أن يشاء الله. They would never believe unless Allah wills. مَا كَانُوا لِيُؤْمِنُوا. So that lam is lamul juhud, the one that comes after ma kanu. So that's why it's translated here as they will never believe. The negation in the ayah is emphatic. Illa an yasha Allah, unless Allah wills. وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَهُمْ يَجْهَلُونَ. However, most of them are ignorant. وكذلك جعلنا لكل نبي عدوا شياطين الإنس والجن يوحي بعضهم إلى بعض زخرف القول غرورا ولو شاء ربك ما فعلوه فذرهم وما يفترون. وَكَذَلِكَ, and like that, like we made those people your enemies, O Muhammad, those kuffar who are requesting the miracles disingenuously. جَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ عَدُوًّا. Like we made those people your enemies, we made for every prophet an enemy. شَيَاطِينَ الْإِنسِ وَالْجِنِّ. Insubordinate devils from the humans and jinn. Yani from amongst humans and jinn. Human devils and genie devils. So there you have confirmation in the Quran. Yani more confirmation in the Quran for the existence of human devils. Those who call the people to the disobedience of their Lord. May Allah make us not amongst the human devils, and may Allah make us not have their behaviors. Ameen. Where else did we find mention of the human devils in the Quran? In Suratul-An. الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. One way to interpret these two verses of Suratul-An is seek refuge with Allah from the devil. الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس. The devil who whispers to the chests of the people. Which devils? من الجنة والناس. The devils from amongst the humans. The devils from amongst the genies and the devils from amongst the humans. يوحي بعضهم إلى بعض زخرف القول غرورا. What do those human and genie devils do? They suggest to each other the embellished saying for deceit. They whisper to each other the camouflaged saying for deceit. The embellished, camouflaged saying is what they beautify of sayings and whispers and temptations to sin. Yani, those bad ideas that they make seem like they are good ideas, which they do for the sake of deceit. وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ مَا فَعَلُوهُ. And had your Lord willed, they would not have done it, like he told us in the previous ayah. Had your Lord willed, they would not have done it. Yani, had Allah willed so, they would not have encouraged each other to do evil. Allah would have prevented them from that. However, He did not. Yani, their encouraging each other to do bad is not against the will of Allah. فَذَرْهُمْ وَمَا يَفْتَرُونَ. So leave those blasphemers. Leave them. Who are they? فَذَرْهُمْ. So leave them, those blasphemers. وَمَا يَفْتَرُونَ, and what they fabricate. What do they fabricate? The blasphemy and otherwise. Blasphemy and other than blasphemy. Leave them with their fabricating. وَلِتَصْغَى إِلَيْهِ أَفْئِدَةُ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ وَلِيَرْضَوْهُ. And they whispered to each other so that the hearts of those who do not believe in the afterlife incline towards those embellished sayings, and so that they accept it. Yani, that's why those who whisper do so, to catch someone, to snare someone, someone who has it in him to take the bad things that they are saying. That's what they are talking to. Are they talking to people who are for sure not going to listen to them? No. Who do you think they are talking to? You think they are talking to you? Or they are doing that for any gullible person, any person who has an inclination like them to latch on to them. They want the gullible ones. It's like, you ever see those commercials, especially like ones on YouTube? Those advertisements. Who are they talking to? Those corny advertisements. They are talking to the gullible people. They're not talking to any person who knows better. Just like those politicians. Who are they talking to? They know who they are talking to. You should know that. وَلِيَقْتَرِفُوا مَا هُمْ مُقْتَرِفُونَ, and so that they commit that which they commit of sins. That's why they whisper to each other. When they asked the Prophet ﷺ to appoint an intermediary between him and themselves, uh, I'm not sure how to explain that. It was revealed for him to say, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, أَفَغَيْرَ اللَّهِ أَبْتَغِي حَكَمًا وَهُوَ الَّذِي أَنزَلَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكِتَابَ مُفَصَّلًا والذين آتيناهم الكتاب يعلمون أنه منزل من ربك بالحق فلا تكونن من الممترين. أفغير الله أبتغي حكما. So should other than Allah I seek as a judge between us? So that's an attempt to follow the Arabic. Other than Allah should I seek? Should other than Allah I seek as a judge? وهو الذي أنزل إليكم الكتاب. Yani, why it's worded like that? For what passed in the previous ayah in this surah. If you've been reviewing, it's a nice thing if you are reviewing Tafsir. Subhanallah. Which is that it's not taking a judge that is the issue as much as that one being other than Allah. That's the issue. So that's why other than Allah is mentioned first. Should other than Allah I seek as a judge? وهو الذي أنزل إليكم الكتاب مفصلا. Should other than Allah I seek as a judge between us, though He it is who brought down upon you the miraculous Quran book, detailed? والذين آتيناهم الكتاب يعلمون أنه منزل من ربك بالحق. And those whom we have given them the Torah book, they know that the Quran is brought down from your Lord in truth. Who are those? Abdullah ibn Salam and his companions. Those who are people of the book at the time of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and they converted to Islam. That's the tafsir here. Those whom we gave them the book means those who were Jews before Muhammad came, and then they converted. What about them? يعلمون أنه منزل من ربك بالحق. They know that the Quran is brought down from your Lord in truth. Subhanallah. Yani, like you know, when the Prophet came, alayhi salatu wassalam, the Jews recognized what he came with. They were in the first place expecting him, and then when he came, they recognized what he came with. Very reminiscent of what they already had, a revealed book and belief in monotheism and prophethood. It's not to say they were true monotheists, but in their claim, they were supposed to be. Their book commanded them to be. And they thought of themselves as that. Monotheism and prophethood and sacred law. So they recognized it. Ghusl, wudu, reciting the book, slaughtering the meat, praying, standing, bowing, prostrating, facing the Qibla. فَلَا تَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْمُمْتَرِينَ. So certainly be not, O hearer, among the doubters, that the people of the book know it. وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا لا مبدل لكلماته وهو السميع العليم. And perfect is the word of your Lord in truth and justice. Kalimatu Rabbik, the word of your Lord, or your Lord's word. That's a singular. It is that by which he spoke, which is his speech. So, as you know, Allah's kalima is his kalam. His kalima, which literally would translate as word, it is his kalam, his speech. And even if you pluralize the word kalima and you say kalimat, kalimatullah, it means also his kalima, his word. His kalimat is his kalima. So if I just translate it, that means his words is his word. Yani that singular form has the same meaning as that plural form has the same meaning as the singular form. His kalimat that came in some spots is his kalima, his word. And his kalima is his kalam, his speech. Allah speaks by his eternal everlasting speech, which is not sound, letter, or language. Therefore, kalamullah, the speech of Allah, may be referred to as kalimatullah, the word of Allah. Although some of the sheikhs, last I knew, they don't approve of using the word here. This verse was also recited as kalimatu rabbik with the plural form, the words of your Lord, and it still refers to kalamullah, the speech of Allah, like I told you. Therefore, his kalam may be called kalimatullah, the words of Allah, and it still refers to one speech, not to many things, not to units of speech called words. It may be said, Kalamullah, the speech of Allah, referring to the revealed book, which is created in every way. The revealed book itself is created in every way. Its pages are created, its ink is created. In this instance, Kalamullah, when it refers to the revealed book, does not refer to the attribute of Allah. The eternal attribute of speech, it may also be called the Quran, not in reference to the revealed book. It just has that name, Al Quran. God's speech is called Al Quran, and the revealed book is also called Al Quran. So the word Al Quran has two usages. And the speech of Allah may be called Al Qawl. Innama qawluna, the saying of Allah, the qawl of Allah. وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا. And perfect is the word of your Lord in truth and justice. لَا مُبَدِّلَ لِكَلِمَاتِهِ. There is no exchanger. No exchanger for his words is there. He was truthful in his promise and his threat, and just in his command and his prohibition. No one can alter his words. And his speech is eternal, as you know. His attribute of speech is eternal. So whatever he said to be shall be. Whatever he commanded to be, it shall be. Things come into existence in accordance with his eternal command, just as they come into existence in accordance with his eternal knowledge. وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. And he is as-Sami'ul Alim, hearer of the confessor's confession, knower of the insistent one's insistence. وَإِن تُطِعْ وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّوكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ إِن يَتَّبِعُونَ إِلَّا الظَّنَّ وَإِنْ هُمْ إِلَّا يَخْرُصُونَ وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّوكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And if you obey the blasphemers, most of those on the earth, who are most of the people on the earth, or most of the people in the world, kuffar, then what would they do? They would misguide you from the path of Allah. The path of Allah is the religion of Allah. The Wahhabi would use this ayah and ayahs like it to debunk the legitimacy of being the guided group by virtue of being the majority. They said there is no merit in being the majority of the nation. Allah says, وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّوكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And if you obey most of those on earth, they would misguide you from the path of Allah. They say, therefore, there is no merit in being the majority of the nation. So that's Wahhabi religion. That's not the way of the Prophet and his Sahaba. And the fact of the matter is that Wahhabis are less than the Shiites, fewer than the Shiites. And the Shiites are not the majority. And you might find this if you talk to a Wahhabi, that, like right here, he will debunk the notion that being the majority of the nation has merit. But if you ask him, are the majority of the nation Ash'aris and Maturidis? Is my experience. Now, some people, they did ask them and they say yes, reluctantly. Are the majority of the scholars Ash'aris? One brother told me he went up to one of those Wahhabis, so-called Abu Muslima, I think, many years ago, probably back in the 90s. Said he went to him, right up to him, and told him, is it true that the majority of the nation are Ash'aris? He said, he paused for a moment, and then he said, Na'am. Yes, like he didn't want to say it. That's what he told me. But in my experience, they're going to say, well, Ash'aris and Maturidis, they're not the majority of the nation. Why would they say that? Because that's how much they hate the Ash'aris and Maturidis. That they would not want to admit that they are the majority of Muslims. But at the same time, they will discredit the majority of the nation. That's an interesting thing. They will discredit the majority of the nation, and they will not give the Ash'aris and Maturidis the credit of being the majority of the nation. So when I talked to one Wahhabi who was saying like that, then I asked him, who's the majority then that you deem as blasphemers? You deem the majority as blasphemers. It's clear in all of your discourse with me. But you deny that the majority are the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. So who are those blasphemers who are the majority of the nation according to you? So he didn't answer. By their arguing with you about dead meat or that their fathers were upon the truth, they do not follow but assumption. This is coming. They're arguing with the Muslims about halal meat versus haram meat. Because they were saying, why you need to slaughter the meat? And also, they were saying, our fathers, they know better than you. They follow nothing but assumption. And they are not but lying. Also, that's an attempt to translate literally. And they are not but lying that Allah legalized or illegalized for them this or that. Yani, meaning the old Arabs, they had practices of theirs that was part of their pagan religion. And they used to say, Allah said so, God said so. That's what some people do. When they see some idea is good idea, they will say, God said so. I noticed some Muslims, or people who said they are Muslims, doing something like that. Just who are they? They were some older people, and Americans, and also they had prior influence before been under the influence of the likes of NOI. But I noticed from some people like that, after spending some time with them, I didn't pick it up right away. They would say, well, Allah says such and such. When I saw them saying that Allah says this or that, I said, where are they getting all these things from? Anything they saying Allah said something. I realize that's what they do. That's coming in the surah here. Even if we don't cover it today, so you need to remember those things so that you follow the tafsir. إن ربك هو أعلم من يضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. Surely, your Lord, He is most knowledgeable. من يضل عن سبيله, who strays from His path? He knows. But maybe some people, the way they would translate this or render this into English is to say, your Lord is most knowledgeable about who strays. He knows best who strays. But men here is ism istifham. Yani an interrogative noun, a question noun. Men who? من يضل عن سبيله, who strays from his path? هو أعلم, he knows best. The answer to that he knows. وهو أعلم بالمهتدين, and he is most knowledgeable about the guided ones, and he shall recompense them all. He shall pay them all. Yani the good ones and the bad ones. فَكُلُوا مِمَّا ذُكِرَ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. So eat from what the name of Allah was mentioned over it. Neither eat what was slaughtered in other than the name of Allah, nor eat what died by itself. Yani, don't eat anything that died without religiously recognized slaughter or killing. فَكُلُوا مِمَّا ذُكِرَ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. Eat from what the name of Allah was mentioned over it. This is evidence for three of the four madhabs, excluding Shafi'i school, that pronouncing or mentioning the name of Allah over the slaughter is obligatory. And they said, if you leave it out on purpose, your slaughter is invalid. But if you leave it out forgetfully, then your slaughter is still valid. Ash-Shafi'i, on the other hand, he says mentioning the name of Allah over the slaughter or the sacrifice is sunnah, not obligatory. And he has several points to prove that. Amongst them is that if the people of the book themselves don't mention the name of Allah, their slaughter is valid. So if their slaughter is valid without any mention of the name of Allah, as long as they don't mention someone else's name, then for sure a believer's slaughter is going to be valid without the name of Allah. That's one of Ash-Shafi'i's arguments. And he has others. So according to him, this is sunnah, saying Bismillah when you slaughter. You said, I've heard if Jewish people slaughter but recite a Jewish prayer before slaughtering, then the food is not halal. Is that accurate? All I know is if they slaughter in other than the name of Allah. I haven't heard anything more. فَكُلُوا مِمَّا ذُكِرَ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ إِن كُنتُم بِآيَاتِهِ مُؤْمِنِينَ. Eat from what the name of Allah was mentioned over it, if you are in His signs believers. وَمَا لَكُمْ أَلَّا تَأْكُلُوا مِمَّا ذُكِرَ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ وَقَدْ فَصَّلَ لَكُم مَّا حَرَّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ إِلَّا مَا اضْطُرِرْتُمْ إِلَيْهِ. And why not eat from what the name of Allah was mentioned over it? Meaning, why not eat the halal meat? Now, yani, whether you want to take Shafi'i school here or the school of the other three about it being obligatory or sunnah. Now the point here is, oh believers, why not eat the halal meat? Why not eat the meat that was slaughtered as per the laws that your Lord revealed? Why not eat from what the name of Allah was mentioned over it when He has detailed for you what He forbade for you? Allah made clear for you what He made forbidden for you to consume in Suratul-Ma'idah, Ayah 3. We covered that already. Review your Tafsir. Except what you were in dire need of, then you can eat what you are in dire need of to save your life, though fundamentally it's forbidden. Originally it's forbidden, but your situation tightened on you, and you were, for example, you had nothing to eat but rats. Maybe you were starving, and if a roach crawls past you, you're just going to grab him and shove him in your mouth. Because there's Jews dropping bombs on you. There's no food, there's no water. Allah knows what they're going to eat. And they killed the animals too. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. وَإِنَّ كَثِيرًا لَيُضِلُّونَ بِأَهْوَائِهِمْ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. إن ربك هو أعلم بالمهتدين. And surely many, they certainly misguide others according to their whims, without knowledge to rely upon. They mislead others by legalizing and prohibiting according to their desires and according to their lusts, without any reference from the religious law. Yeah, I mean, they just say, Allah said so, God said so. إن ربك هو أعلم بالمهتدين. Surely, your Lord is most knowledgeable about the transgressors who exceed the lawful to the unlawful. وَذَرُوا ظَاهِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَبَاطِنَهُ, and abandon the outward of the sin and its inward. It could be that the open sin is fornication in the taverns, and the hidden sin is having a secret girlfriend. Yani, according to that tafsir, that's, and there's other ayat too, that's a proof for the prohibition of girlfriends and mistresses. Yani, rather, you're going to have wives, not mistresses. Mistress, what I'm saying when I say mistress here, means not a wife. Usually, that's going to be a woman who accepted the relationship of a man who's married already. Yeah, so she commits herself to a married man, then she would be his mistress. So that's haram, and the girlfriends is haram. إن الذين يكسبون الإثم سيجزون بما كانوا يقترفون. Surely, those who acquire the sin will be recompensed for what they were committing. ولا تأكلوا مما لم يذكر اسم الله عليه وإنه لفسق. SubhanAllah, I did review before this lesson, but I wanted to recite one more time. I ran out of time and I didn't want to keep you all waiting. So, still rusty here. ولا تأكلوا مما لم يذكر اسم الله عليه وإنه لفسق. And do not eat from what the name of Allah was not mentioned over it. So that's a proof for those three madhabs. لا تأكلوا مما لم يذكر اسم الله عليه وإنه لفسق. And surely that consumption is a major sin. Ash-Shafi'i's answer to that is to say, do not eat from what the name of Allah was not mentioned over it, because another name was mentioned over it instead. So that's Shafi'i's explanation. وَإِنَّهُ لَفِسْقٌ. And then that would surely be a major sin. The others are not saying that because another name was mentioned over it, they're saying it means merely the name of Allah was not mentioned over it. But Shafi'i, he has good argument here by merging all the proofs in this issue. His explanation, he reached that by merging all the proofs. وَإِنَّ الشَّيَاطِينَ لَيُوحُونَ إِلَىٰ أَوْلِيَائِهِمْ لِيُجَادِلُوكُمْ وَإِنْ أَطَعْتُمُوهُمْ إِنَّكُمْ لَمُشْرِكُونَ. And surely the devils certainly prompt their cohorts to dispute with you, believers, so that they would dispute with you by saying, you do not eat what Allah killed, but you eat what you slaughter with your own hand. That's what they said to the believers. What Allah killed is not good enough for you, but what you kill with your own hand is good enough for you. That's how people put spin on anything. So you need to be mindful And you need to be able to see things how they really are. If a person can see some way to make something make sense in his own mind, if in his imagination he can connect some dots, then he would be uh, that will be satisfactory for him to mention it for you. Two things, if he can just put them together, make it seem like it makes sense, as they say, quote unquote, in theory, makes sense in theory, then he will say it. And he will argue with you all day. This is the type of thing that people do. They have some idea that from that idea, they justify what they want and they go from there. Always trying to find some way to obscurely connect dots from one point to another, or to fallaciously connect dots from one point to another, to arrive at something they want to arrive at, not to arrive at a truth, to arrive at what they want to arrive at. وَإِنْ أَطَعْتُمُوهُمْ إِنَّكُمْ لَمُشْرِكُونَ. And if you believers obeyed them, then surely you are certainly like pagans. If you obeyed them, then you would be pagans. Mere obedience of a creation or to a creation in a sin is not worship of him. That we know from learning about tawassul. The mere obedience to someone is not worship of that one. It's not kufr. It's not shirk to obey someone, even in a sin. Rather, the obedience for which its committer is deemed a disbeliever is the obedience that is with the extent of humility and glorification. Yani, when that obedience uh, has or is worship, then it's going to be kufr. This is the intent of any linguists who said that ibadah is ata'ah, obedience. Ibadah is obedience. That's in some of the dictionaries. The obedience, not just obedience, the obedience. That word the is very important here. This is the intent of any linguists who said that ibadah is at-ta'ah, the obedience, not just obedience. They didn't say ibadah is ta'ah, obedience. They said at-ta'ah, the obedience. It is as if they said it is the special obedience. Question, what do they mean not eating what Allah killed? Meaning, some animal died on its own. So they're going to say, Allah made it die. Why you don't eat it? Allah is the one who killed it. You're going to go kill it yourself and eat it? Why? But if Allah killed it, you won't eat it? That's what they are saying. I mean, that's how people have like philosophical ideas. And then they build on them. Listen to how people talk. They have all kinds of ideas that they pull just from bad places, from their imaginations, things that have no basis, something that just makes sense in their own mind. And when they say it, they can say it in a way that seems like it makes sense and they can connect some dots. They're just going to keep talking and go from there. أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ كمن مثله في الظلمات ليس بخارج منها. And is someone who was dead, and then we revived him, and we made for him a light by which he walks among the people, similar to whom his likeness is in the darknesses, never coming out of it. is someone who was dead, yani, is someone who was a kafir, and then we revived him, we quickened him, we brought him to life, meaning we guided him. And because faith is the life of the hearts. So he came to life by faith. He embraced Islam. And then Allah gave him a light by which he walks among the people. A certainty according to An-Nasafi, or faith according to Jalalain. That's what that light is. Is he similar to someone whose example is in darknesses? Is he similar to someone the likes of whom is in darknesses? لَيْسَ بِخَارِجٍ مِّنْهَا, never coming out of it? They are not equal. Allah clarified that the guided person is the example of a dead one who was revived and enlightened, walking among the people with wisdom and faith. And the example of the disbeliever is like one who is in darkness and does not come out of it. كذلك زين للكافرين ما كانوا يعملون. Like belief was embellished for the believers, yani beautified. Like belief was beautified for the believers. Embellished for the disbelievers is what they used to do of disbelief and sins. Yani, for them, the blasphemy is attractive and the sins are attractive. Sadaqallahu al-azim.